What's up, ladies and gentlemen? We're here. It's another movie Battlegrounds. So today we've got Malcolm Goldilay and Subrath Sharma facing off in what's looking to be at least an entertaining match, to say the least. Let's shoot it over to our judges right quick. Along with myself, we have Ryan, the Hunter Premison. How you doing today, bud?
Doing well, sir. Doing well. This is going to be a very potentially entertaining match, to say the least, between these two competitors. I am very curious to see what happens with this, and I'm happy to be here. So let's have some fun with it.
Most definitely. Dan, Skip, Allen is our third judge, our final today. How you doing, bud?
Hey, I'm doing great. I'm just glad to be a part of the movie Battleground, and my faction leader Subrath is in this match, which I'll try not to be too biased towards him, Malcolm. I promise.
Yeah, all fairness. If it does lean one way, I probably won't do anything about it. That's just the way I roll. But let's introduce our competitors today, guys. So right now, Malcolm, how are you feeling?
Doing pretty good. Have to go up against Subrath again. If they release a DVD of all my matches I've ever done, probably about 50% of them will be me versus Subrath in whatever, some form of match or another. So I'm feeling good.
Awesome. And we'll shoot over to Subrath. Subrath, how you feeling about facing Malcolm in probably your 42nd match against him?
I get that people are saying that, this match is all set up to be the conclusion of Subrath Sharma and Malcolm Ray. No, it's not. This is just gonna be freebie for me. Like, I'm 0-3, but this is gonna be my chance to win. I have a feeling. Because I went through a protest to get to this match. Come on.
He went through a protest.
If I went today, it would be for nothing.
You went through a protest so you could get home and argue with people. It's just another form of protesting. I can't wait to see how this goes. We have one person who's very confident and the other who is confident but also thinks that this was set up. So let's get this started, guys. All right. So we all know the rules. Get up to 2 minutes for an opening statement. We won't give out any points until all three judges have spoken. We won't say who the winner of the round is. Obviously, the points will be added up. So it will be a little clear for you. But after the opening statements, you have about 5 minutes to argue back and forth with each other. Try not to get too loud. Try not to filibuster each other. Try not to yell over each other. Let's try to keep it respectful. No dirty shots, no name calling. You know how it is. You also get up to, after that, we have a succinct closing where you will be able to wrap up your argument in a neat, tidy package with a nice little bow on top. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, there's also an extension. So without further ado, are we doing introductions? Do we have music? Is that what's going on here? No? Okay. Then let's get into it. Let's get right into it. Question number 1, fellas. What was the worst horror film of the 1990s? Let's start with Subrath.
Good. You start with me because I don't get what Malcolm chose. I mean, the question is really clear. What is the worst horror movie of the 1990s? There's a lot of options. You have Freddy something, The Last Nightmare, and many more. What I chose was basically an abysmal remake of the 1960s movie of The Haunting of Hill House. I mean, based on The Haunting of Hill House, which is now on Netflix. They create a new version, of course. So my movie is the Liam Neeson starring The Haunting from 1999.
Yeah, an eclectic and interesting choice.
Yeah. So,
all right. Malcolm, your movie choice, but worst horror movie of the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, for me, mine's definitely going to be a hot take because I picked the Blair Witch Project. Because this is one which, well, yes, it popularized the found footage genre type thing, but it's also one of those ones in which the found footage thing is so bling that to watch it from start to finish, it can get a little headachy at times, but I'll get more into that in the main debate.
All right, fellas, if those are your opening statements, let's get into it. Let's reset that time clock, and whoever starts.
Malcolm, you start, because I just don't get why would you choose a movie that has revolutionized. I mean, it basically is what came before Paranormal Activity. It was just like a mind-blowing experience for the first time that a movie is in a found footage genre, type of movie, and it paves way for many other movies like Cloverfield. It's also a found footage movie. Paranormal Activity, and there's many more. This movie is basically the first one of many of them. So I just don't get, why would you choose a movie that revolutionizes this horror genre instead of something just a bad movie? Why would you choose that?
Well, the thing is, popularizing a type of genre does not make a movie good. It just means it started off a genre. With Cloverfield, you mentioned it found footage better than what that Blair Witch, but so this is not about Cloverfield or that. Blair Witch Project, like as I said, the found footage and stuff was so jarring in that because it was the first one to do it, that watching it from start to finish in an hour and 20 minutes or however long it went for, it gets a bit jarring. You can't watch it in one sitting. It probably would have been better in a half an hour.
That's the whole point of a found footage movie. You can't expect it to be just standstill. Other than, let me just talk about the Haunting for 1 second. The movie is an abysmal, and the CGI is all crap, and you have Owen Wilson is just there for like few minutes until his head just gets chopped off by a lion, a stone lion, by the way. So, I mean, that movie is basically, I could just go on and on about my movie, but I'll just keep, attacking you with your choice because it's a good movie. I mean, basically before they released that movie, they create this fictional legend. People didn't know that this was a movie. They thought this is a real event, that people get killed in this movie. So that's why people, see this movie and they get scared of it. This is a really good horror movie, and you're choosing it to be the worst of the 90s? You could just choose any of them. I could just walk over you for this question. So I'm sorry. Your choice is just, it's the opposite of worst. It's the best one of the 90s.
Yes, but the thing is, The Haunting is a fun movie. I mean, yes, some of the acting some of the acting isn't that great. It definitely is. It can be fun to watch at times. I find a lot of enjoyment in it. I tried rewatching the Blair Witch Project. It's so bit jarring, especially there. It feels so much like a college film, and I get that's the point because of what the kids are. But it's just so jarring. I mean, I would much rather watch Paranormal Activity 50 more times more than what I'd ever go back to rewatch. Because when they did the sequel,
you won't get Paranormal Activity without Blair Witch Project, because this movie is the one that leads up to Paranormal Activity. People who made the Paranormal Activity movie based, they got inspired by the Blair Witch Project. Without this movie, you wouldn't even have any Paranormal Activity. I mean, the first one was good, the rest was just crap. So, I mean, but the first one is just, it's inspired from this movie. So you couldn't just say that without this movie, I mean, this is the worst of it. This movie revolutionized the horror genre, that it really needed in the 1990s. The 90s was basically the abysmal decade for horror movies. And this movie is the one that stood out of that.
Yes, but the thing is, just like you've harped on about revolutionizing a genre. It doesn't make a movie good. It just started a type of genre. I mean, let's get the acting in Blair Witch is a lot far worse than The Haunting. Like the acting in The Haunting isn't good. I get that, but the acting in Blair Witch Project is worse. And when it comes to, and even the Golden Raspberry Awards saw that the acting was worse because it did win a Golden Raspberry Award for Worst Actress.
4, 3, 2, 1, time.
All right. That concludes the 5-minute argumentative round. This has been a little fun. Just as a heads up, Ryan, maybe next time give me a shout out at like 1 minute so they can start rolling into a little bit of a final thought. So we have closing statements. Let's try to keep it under 2 minutes, fellas. We started with Subrath, so let's start with Malcolm this time.
I'll keep this short. Haunting is a fun movie. Well, yes, the acting in that isn't great, but it's still better than the acting in Blair Witch Project. Blair Witch Project, it revolutionized the found footage genre, but it isn't the best found footage genre movie out there. Like watching it from start to finish, you can get really headachy just watching it. It would have been better as a half an hour short.
All right. Concise final statements. Subrath, what you got for your closing?
I'm just still stunned that he's still defending his choice. I'll just list out why my movie is basically the worst one. It's nominated for like Golden Razzie Awards for like worst actress, worst screen couple, worst screenplay, worst director, and worst picture. Got nominated, didn't win any. I'm just shocked they didn't win any. And Liam Neeson is basically the only reason why I watched that movie, because he's the glowing thing in that really ridiculous movie. While Blair Witch Project, I don't know why he chose that movie. It's basically the thing that's revolutionized the horror genre, and it led up to many more found footage movies. That's my closing.
All right. So we have two very unique arguments on our hands here, fellas. I'm going to shoot over to Dan first. Dan, what were your thoughts, your ideologies, your loves, your hates of this argument right here?
I want to go down some of the thoughts that Malcolm made. First of all, Malcolm said that it was would have been better as a shorter film. That Haunting has better acting. Also, the shaky cam. It created the shaky cam genre. Also, I have down here Paranormal Activity is a better trilogy or group of films or franchise or whatever than Blair Witch Project. And Subrath said he doesn't understand why Malcolm would pick a good horror film for the worst of the 90s. And it's been nominated for a bunch of Razzie Awards. And The Haunting has better CGI than Blair Witch Project. And it's Malcolm also said that it's a guilty pleasure for him, and Subrath said that his film that he picked is abysmal, and that his film was worse than Malcolm's film. And based on the arguments and based on the history of the two films, I think that Malcolm didn't choose the right film, and Subrath attacked Malcolm for not choosing a bad film. When you're dealing with a subject matter where the question is, what is the worst horror movie of the 90s? I think Malcolm made a mistake choosing a good film. It might be his opinion that it's not a good film, but if you go on different things like Rotten Tomatoes and different horror pundits and people like that, they all unanimously say that the Blair Witch Project is a good movie. And I myself actually agree with them. I think for a bunch of kids from the University of Central Florida to make this film at the low budget that they made it for and made it this suspenseful and this scary and created the shaky cam genre, I think that was a feat in itself. And I don't think Malcolm said enough about why his film was bad, as worse than Subrath. Subrath kept attacking, and I think his film, it didn't stand up. Their arguments didn't stand up to me. And so if I had to choose, I would definitely say Subrath made the points about why would you choose a good film over, he knew he chose a bad film. He knew it. But
Fair enough.
So
Fair enough. Okay, so we have one leaning towards Subrath. Hunter, Ryan, Premison, you there, bud?
Yes.
Let me hear what you got.
All right. By the way, first of all, I will give you the 1 minute warning for the next couple of rounds. I apologize for not doing that
No,
sooner.
you're good.
My bad. But anyway, on to this particular argument with this case. I am a bit shocked that Malcolm would go with Blair Witch, because I'm like, wait a minute, isn't this like on a bunch of people's like X amount of like best horror lists or top 20, top 25, whatever the list may be, however you want to slice that. And Subrath kept trying to say, well, this film I'm talking to you about in The Haunting, in this case, is abysmal. But all I kept hearing was abysmal, and not too many things to back it up. But then what put it over the top for me was Subrath's closing argument. It was nominated for this, and that as far as the Razzie Awards are concerned. And when you hear Razzies, it's not a good thing you want to be associated with necessarily. So with me, in the beginning, I was going to go towards one direction, but the closing argument kind of helped me make a different decision. I'm going to go actually and give the point to Subrath on this.
So we're going to give Subrath this point. Let's try to keep our judging down just a little bit quicker, and we'll move right on to the question number 2. Question number 2 is, what was the biggest movie snub at the Oscars? This is a big question right here. Malcolm, what is your choice? Hit us with your opening statements, bud.
My choice is Wonder Woman. Leading into the 2018 Oscars, Wonder Woman, lots of people have been saying Wonder Woman should be nominated for a lot of the Oscars. Like Patty Jenkins was in the running, that people were saying she should be up for Best Director, but she was completely shut out. Wonder Woman was completely shut out of the Oscars completely, which is a shock, because it should have been nominated for costume. It should have been nominated for a lot, and I'll really get into more of that in the argument.
Right. So we have Wonder Woman for Malcolm. Subrath, what's the biggest snub for a movie at the Oscars?
My biggest snub was the movie that's people just, the Oscar, the Academy, I just don't get. Did they see this movie, or did they just want purposely to push it aside just for Leonardo DiCaprio trying to get his first ever Oscar? So my pick was the 2015's Creed, which is the spin-off of the Rocky franchise. I'll get more into it, but before that, I'll just say that it's not easy to start over from Rocky 6, where you ended things, you tie things up, and to start it all over again with a new character, it's never easy. I'll get into it more.
All right, so it is Wonder Woman versus Creed and another epic beatdown. Let's get started with the arguments, gentlemen.
First of all, Malcolm, let me start. I mean, Wonder Woman got its chance with many things, but the Academy, you've seen what the previous years, superhero movies is always snub. Oscars. I know I was hoping Gal Gadot or Ty Jenkins or Wonder Woman would get Best Picture, but you see the rest of the competitions in that year, I did not even think that Wonder Woman would get it. I saw the list. I'm saying no. I'm sorry, no. But the difference is in 2015, Creed was it should be in the best picture. If it didn't get best director, fine. Ryan Coogler could do other things. And if it didn't get the best actor for Michael B. Jordan, still disappointing, fine. Didn't get the best supporting actor nomination for Sylvester Stallone, heartbreaking for me, but fine.
Yeah. Well, the thing about Wonder Woman is, like, it was loved by the producers. It had the momentum sort of going in that it could get something. Well, yes, the Academy has a record for not nominating superhero movies, and I get that. But Wonder Woman was the first one that sort of came out since The Dark Knight, because The Dark Knight was the reason they expanded the Best Picture race to at least 10 nominees. So with Wonder Woman, this is the first one that everyone's been going, it deserves to be in the running. It deserves it. And to be completely shut out is bizarre.
I get that. I get what you mean, but that this deserves the nomination. But 2017 was basically 2017 was the year of many big movies. Like you have La La Land. If you could just fact check it for me, La La Land. You have Moonlight. Basically, the thing that's got such thing that, or you could fact check it if I'm correct. But basically, 2017 was the year of many also good movies. You have Lady Bird. You have, basically, I couldn't list it all, but I just saw the list like an hour ago. Like, it's way more competitive than 2015. We could easily put Creed in 2015 in list of nominations for the 2016 Oscars, but they just completely shut that movie out, leave it on the gutter. Like, I'm just shocked. Like, it didn't even get best. If it only got Best Picture nomination, I would just be happy that it got nominated. It got recognized for something.
Creed didn't get completely shut out. It was nominated.
People know Wonder Woman. People know Wonder Woman, okay? People know Gal Gadot. People know Patty Jenkins. And Wonder Woman has a sequel coming up. So, if you ask people what Creed is, they would just say, oh, you mean Assassin's Creed? Like, you mean that shit pile movie? People don't know Creed. Like, it's the spin-off of Rocky Balboa. And it's not easy to restart a franchise and to knock it out of the park. And Ryan Coogler knocked it out of the park. Michael B. Jordan did a superb job. Sylvester was a great mentor, figure. To be the older Rocky Balboa teaching a younger son of Apollo Creed. But that's just tear-jerking, man. Come on. You couldn't just swipe that out under the rug and just leave it there to die.
Okay, I've not met anyone who does not know that Creed is a spin-off from Rocky. Everyone I've talked to know that Creed is in the Rocky franchise.
That's the thing. It's just being left under the rug. People don't know about this movie. Like, people should know about this movie. And like Wonder Woman, people know it's a franchise. It's basically part of the DCEU. I'm DC fan, sorry. So, yeah. I just don't get, like, why would Wonder Woman deserves it, but 2017, it's a different year, and basically Wonder Woman was just not that good of a movie to be nominated. As you've seen in the past, like superhero movies, Dark Knight deserves more to be nominated for Best Picture than Wonder Woman, to be honest. So Creed was just the reason why I chose Creed was it's just left out there. It's just not recognized for anything.
I was looking at the nominations for that year. Like, you had a few solid nominations in Best Picture. You had Mad Max Fury Road. You had Brooklyn. You had Room.
1 minute.
There was a lot of good movies in that year.
You could just easily put out one of those movies. You could just easily put out Revenant for Creed. I'm sorry to say, but in my opinion, it's my opinion. I don't know about other people, but The Revenant for Best Picture, not really that good. Leonardo DiCaprio for Best Actor, maybe. But at least put Creed inside them list of nominations. Damn it. Come on. This year was basically not that competitive compared to 2017, where Wonder Woman was in. So, I could just go political and say that that year was basically the whole Oscar so white thing, and it led up to like what Wonder Woman was, the year of Moonlight.
Yes, but the thing is, the movie Creed, it got a nomination. Wonder Woman got completely shafted. It should have got Best Costume at
5,
least.
4, 3.
Creed was
2,
nominated for Best
Time.
Supporting Actor.
Time.
For Golden Globes.
All right. So we've had some ups and some downs during this portion of the argument. Let's start with Malcolm, since it seems like Subrath always gets his first thought off at the beginning. Malcolm, tell us why Wonder Woman was the bigger snub than Creed at the Oscars, or at least concise it down.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Wonder Woman was the biggest snub at the Oscars because there was a lot of factors, like a lot before the nominations were announced. A lot of people going, Patty Jackson should be nominated for director. It should be in the race for Best Picture. There's a lot of momentum leading its way but it was getting loved by a lot of the Golds and SAGs. But then come to Oscar time, it just got completely shafted. With Creed, it got a nomination. Well, yes, it didn't get in this picture race or any others, but it still was recognized for something at the Oscars.
All right. Very concise way to wrap it up in a nice little bow. Subrath, Creed, worst Oscar snub, go.
To be honest, like, I just don't get why Wonder Woman deserves to be on the Oscars list. I know it got snubbed for everything, but people are not mad. That movie made a lot of money, and they got a sequel coming. I mean, people are not mad if Wonder Woman or Patty Jenkins didn't get nominated. I know it's people. Some people would argue otherwise, that Patty Jenkins maybe should get nominated, but that's different. But we're talking about Creed, a movie that's just completely left out of the least, in my opinion, the least competitive of all the Oscar years. You could easily replace one of those movies for Best Picture, and the Creed would be more recognizable now than it was before. So, I mean, my closing is like, I'm also to counter argue, Sylvester Stallone was nominated for Best Supporting Actor at the Golden Globes. I don't think he was nominated for Oscars. So the movie gets next to nothing. So I'm just disappointed that Creed didn't get recognized for anything. That's my closing.
All right. So closing statements are in. We went to Dan first. Ryan, the Hunter, premise, and what are your feelings about this round?
Both of them put together some good arguments. They really did. They tried to put their best foot forward, but I feel just ever so slightly, I feel that, man, this is a tough one. It really is. I feel that Subrath just went a tiny bit over the top and added a few things in there that I believe did well, made a little bit of sense. So I'm going to just slightly, I'm going to give it to Subrath.
All right. Dan, how you feeling about this, bud?
All right. First of all, I have to call out Subrath on two things. Mark Rylance won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, but Sylvester Stallone was nominated for Best Supporting Actor in 2016 for the 2015 year. Second of all, La La Land did not come out in the year that Wonder Woman came out. Those are 2 points that Subrath made that are incorrect. He does make some valid points that Wonder Woman had a tougher road because of all the great films that were out in 2017, and that his year of 2015 was a weaker year. But where he said that films like The Revenant didn't deserve to be nominated and stuff like that, that's not defending, that's not saying that Creed is a better film. And that's the point we're trying to make here. If Creed isn't the better film than The Revenant, how can you make that comparison? we're making a comparison that Creed should have been nominated for more awards or got snubbed when Sylvester Stallone did get nominated. And Malcolm's point is Wonder Woman got completely shut out, even though Subrath said it was in a year with tons and tons of awards. I give him credit. He mentioned Patty Jenkins in the director category. Superhero movies, both of these guys brought up superhero movies. The Dark Knight is the movie, the golden standard here. And they all want to achieve but The Dark Knight never got nominated for Best Picture. The only thing it ever got nominated for was Heath Ledger for Best Supporting Actor. I actually have to give this argument to Malcolm.
Okay. I just want to point something else out. That while yes, Subrath, you did say that it's really kind of difficult to get momentum going behind something when Rocky VI is the thing that kind of wrapped up the franchise. You pointed out that Wonder Woman is getting a sequel. Creed 2 sequel has just out as well. It's not that Creed was this. I get where you're coming from because not a lot of people talk about it, but it got enough love to get a sequel. And I would have liked to see that come up from Malcolm, but Malcolm kind of threw it a little bit more to the fact that there were multiple different ways that this should have, especially with the head of steam that it was gaining, should have been nominated. Whereas you're saying that nobody knows this movie. It did, somebody from that movie was nominated. I have to give this one to Malcolm. Both of you put up an excellent argument, but just, even with that, Malcolm had the tougher road on this one, but he just said a little bit more for me to be secure in saying, hey, look, with this argument, this is why I'm choosing you. So good on the both of you. With 2 points, the point does go to Malcolm, and we go to round number 3. Now, round number 3, the question is, what was Disney animated, or what was the best Disney animated film from their golden age, spanning from 1937 to 1967? And we started with Malcolm last time, so Subrath, we will start with you this time.
All right, so what I picked was basically the most simplest movie, the simplest storyline about basically a girl who was mistreated by its stepmom and stepsisters and being treated as a maid. And basically this movie was one of my favorites as a child, other than Snow White, Sleeping Beauty. I'm not really the type to love all princess movies, but this one was basically the one that to top it all. And my choice was Cinderella.
All right, we got 1950 Cinderella from Subrath. Malcolm, what was your choice for best golden age animated Disney film?
Well, for me, I went with Dumbo. I mean, it's all well and good to go off a cliche princess movie, but a lot of those movies tend to have the same beats. Dumbo is a different type of movie that Disney did in this time frame. It's fun and it's definitely really done well, and it does stand the test of time.
All right, so we have 1941's Dumbo versus 1950's Cinderella. Let's see who's going to win this one. Malcolm, let's let you speak first.
Well, the thing is about Cinderella, it's a cliche rags to riches story. I mean, it's definitely
it's not exactly. I mean, it's the most interesting of all the like princess movies. Like if you ask a little girl to the side, like which princess do you want to be? Most of them will always say Cinderella because they don't because Sleeping Beauty and Snow White and I don't know Pocahontas maybe, but many of those just aren't that recognizable. People even in my country, I mean all overseas, they love the story of a damsel, of a like rags to riches story, like how this princess was so badly mistreated by its by her step family, and how she got she was able to win the princess heart. The I mean, of course, with the help of the fairy and all the animals. But it's a more interesting story than Dumbo. Dumbo, I get it. It's a to be honest, like Dumbo was more of a sad story. Like you see Dumbo got separate from its mother. You don't want a kid to see that movie. The kid will always cry if you see that movie. Kids will always love Cinderella because it's they get the story. They will want to see Cinderella fight back and to be to be in the arms of the prince. That's a simple story which people will get. Like even small kids will always get that story. But Dumbo, it's sorry, a little bit complicated. But that trippy scene where Dumbo gets drunk, I really don't like that scene. To be honest, every time I see Dumbo, I have always wanted to skip that movie. I know people say that's a very trippy scene, but I don't think a lot of people really like that scene because it's just showing Dumbo drunk.
We're stepping into the realm of filibustering here. I'm gonna say that.
I mean,
Malcolm.
well, yes, Dumbo does have dark scenes. I get that, but this was the time period. Like, well, yes, like if you take these movies and show them in this day and age to kids, they may go towards the princess movie. But the thing is, at this time period, Dumbo's still a great movie. I mean, the problem I have with every princess movie is that kids will watch it and think, oh, I need a man to be complete. It imparts really bad values. But like, if you look at all the princess movies in this time period, that one of the big things is it's a man that's rescuing them from whatever terrible situation they are in. Dumbo is a different story. I mean, well, yes, it's sad, but who said that for it to be a good movie in this age, it has to be a nice,
Cinderella
happy,
didn't
fun
get saved
movie?
or anything. Like Snow White was saved by a kiss. Also was Sleeping Beauty was also saved by a kiss, which is more the more that would be the more cliche of all the princess movies. Cinderella was simply just had her shoe worn just to prove that she was the girl that was with the prince at night. So it's more of a family drama movie, and kids will even adults will love that even these days. And even in that decade when that movie was released, was 1950 or something. So I just don't get. Dumbo was more adult oriented because you show Dumbo drunk. You don't want to show a kid that if the cartoon character is going drunk. What would be the point of that?
1 minute. 1 minute.
Putting adult themes into kids' movies is been done a lot of times, especially in Pixar. There's slight. I mean, well, yes, it's not as blatant as what they did in the Golden Age, but there's been adult themes in movies a lot of times. Well, just more subtly. And I can argue that Cinderella, in a way, was saved. She was saved from the situation of being bullied by her family, and she ended up married to this prince, and who risked her out of that situation. So she is
She was
saved
saved
in
by
a way.
luck, not by the prince. The prince didn't save her from anything. She was she just happens to be there when the what was his name again? He that mustache guy was gonna try the shoe on the stepsisters, and she just happens to be there. So it's all luck that saved her.
3,
It's not the prince.
2,
So it's a more
1.
different movie.
Time.
All right, guys, that was our argument round. We've got up to 2 minutes to tell us why yours is the better of the two films. Subrath, we'll start with you since we started with Malcolm.
So I have to admit, Malcolm picked a good choice of a movie, but we are talking about what was the best classic of those decades from 1937 to 1967. For me, was Cinderella. I know people still talk about it. until to this day. There's been so many remakes, so many other iterations, but that movie was basically the the pinpoint, the starting of these other spin-offs, which is not that great because they try to overcomplicate things with other stories. That movie was just very simple, one line storyline, and people still love it to this day. Whereas Dumbo, people don't really like that trippy scene, to be honest. Other than that, Dumbo is just a fairly good, enjoyable movie for even adults would enjoy it, but kids, I don't think so. So that's my closing.
All right. So we have Subrath's closing statements. Malcolm, let me hear your closing statements, my guy.
Yeah, I mean, Dumbo it does stand the test of time. I mean, it's one of those movies in which you can watch. I mean, you don't have to explain the significance, but it's one that it does stand the test of time. I know a lot of kids who still watch Dumbo and love it. Figures with Cinderella. It's a by the numbers guy falls in love with this girl. Like it's kind of a race which is doing it's about a female being saved from a situation. It doesn't really matter if it was luck or she had just happened to be there or not. It doesn't really matter on the situation on how she was saved. The fact is she was still saved from that situation. She by a man. She fell in love and she got out of that situation. It doesn't really matter. So, like, Dumbo is a better movie by far, and Cinderella is just a cliche by the books, and the remake that Kenneth Branagh did was way better.
All right. So that was our argument for round number 3, Cinderella versus Dumbo. I've gone to both of my judges, kept myself saving the best for last, at least for the regular rounds. With this one, it's a little difficult as a person who actually thoroughly enjoys both of these. Staying impartial is the toughest thing. I think Malcolm hit it a little bit better when he continued to call Cinderella a cliche while still hitting that same talking point, but also, you know, it's just going to be a broken record for the most part, because that's what, you know, princess movies are, especially during that era. Woman being saved by a man and being taken out of that situation. Personally, I would have liked to hear a little bit more about Dumbo and why it was a better movie, but the fact that Subrath tried to hit Malcolm with there are adult themes in Dumbo that you would have to explain and you don't really want kids to see, but Malcolm coming back and countering with the fact that there are a lot of adult situations and adult themes that are placed in, especially even the really early Disney movies, that once you view them, even as a child, you can ask a parent and still understand. It's one way that, you know, you can grow and become a more understanding individual about certain subjects. I'm leaning more towards Malcolm on this one, and I will throw it over to Ryan. Or no, I'm sorry, I will throw it over to Dan. Dan is the next in line.
All right, so we got Cinderella is the best from Subrath. The best rags to riches story. Dumbo is a sad movie where there's crying. You know, kids are gonna cry. Cinderella has a happy ending. And he pointed out that Subrath pointed out that Dumbo had a drunk scene. Dumbo was drunk, and then it was a great family drama, but also a film for the whole family. And then Malcolm said that Dumbo was cliche, that Cinderella was cliched, and it's okay to have a animated movie for kids that's sad and whatnot. It doesn't always have to have a happy ending, and that it's just one of a bunch of princess movies. And I'll be honest with you, I think that Subrath really hit home on how much better his movie was than Malcolm's movie. And Malcolm, to me, didn't make enough arguments on why his movie was better. He just was trying to say that Cinderella was cliche. I wanted to hear more what made Dumbo a better film than Cinderella. And in my opinion, Subrath made those arguments why Cinderella was a better film. And so I would give my point to Subrath.
All right, so now we come to the tiebreaker. We have Ryan. Ryan, what did you think about this argument?
Oh, how the tables have turned. Okay. All right, both competitors brought up really, really good arguments. Subrath, countered from what Malcolm was saying, some of his points and all the other points, and vice versa. The thing that put it over the top of me was legacy. What are people talking about today, 30, 45, 45, 50 years down the line? Cinderella is brought up, at least from where I'm sitting, a little bit more so than Dumbo is, even though Dumbo has a remake coming out this year, believe it or not, Tim Burton. Let's not go there. So that'll be interesting to see. So but the point that really got me was legacy from Subrath and what Cinderella means to certain audiences and certain folks. So, man, so tough because both of them really, really did well. But I'm edging out. I'm going to give it to Subrath on this one.
All right, I got voted out on that one. But this is to 3 points, correct? I am not wrong. This is to 3 points. And with Malcolm's 1 point, that means that we do enter into the speed round. Now, the speed round has a couple of alternate rules. We're not going to give you as long. We're going to give you a 30-second opening and a 15-second rebuttal. The first person to speak will be the first person. And speed round question number 1. What is the better Eddie Murphy film? Coming to America or Beverly Hills Cop? All right.
I got it. I just thought
Yeah, you did.
Subrath with Coming to America. All right. So, Subrath, Coming to America, better Eddie Murphy film.
Okay. There's nothing funnier than seeing Eddie Murphy try to impersonate an African accent, which is very funny to see most of the movie. And his basically joyful interactions with the Americans who keep saying, sorry to say, I know kids might watch this. He's screaming on top of his lungs into a balcony. Yeah, fuck you too. and how innocent and how
4, 3,
innocent he was in
2,
America. So
1.
I'll get back to it.
Time.
All right. Malcolm, Beverly Hills Cop, better Eddie Murphy movie than Coming to America.
Beverly Hills Cop is a much better movie. It's funnier. It doesn't seem like too cliche. Coming to America is more about Eddie Murphy imitating an African accent, which is not a good accent. It's terrible. It's kind of borderline racist. But Coming to America, it's got an iconic score. I mean, everyone knows the actual F thing.
Time.
All right. Subrath, your 15-second rebuttal starts when you start speaking.
Eddie Murphy was just, if you talk about accent, people can impersonate many accents before. So, I mean, basically, Eddie Murphy in this movie is just basically, he performed in many, many roles. He's not the only person in that movie. Yeah, so Coming to America's back.
All right. Give it a quick second. Malcolm, get centered. Ryan, reset the clock. And whenever you're ready, Malcolm.
Just because it's a movie where Eddie Murphy acts in a lot of roles does not make it a good movie. Hashtag Norbit still exists. But Beverly Hills Cop is a better movie.
Time.
Oh, jeez. Okay, that was an excellent speed round there.
Jeez.
We're gonna jump over to Dan. Dan, please. I need to hear your opinions on the speed round.
All right. Well,
We're in the end games now.
I got Coming to America. Eddie Murphy has a funny accent. That's what I got from Subrath. But what I got from Malcolm was Beverly Hills Cop, much better film, a lot funnier. And Coming to America is racist, and Beverly Hills Cop is iconic. And just because he doesn't have a lot, plays a lot of voices, doesn't make it a good film. To me, in my opinion, Malcolm made enough points to why Coming to America isn't good, and his movie is better than what Subrath did. So I have to give the point on that to Malcolm.
All right. Very concise, very to the point. I appreciate that. Ryan, I want to hear this. What you got, bud?
Jeez, the really heavy points from both competitors and the knives came out for this one, man. Yeah, Malcolm did pretty well, man. Gonna give him the point. Oh my gosh, for throwing Coming to America under a bus and countering Subrath. So good work, man.
Oh, the point is won. Malcolm won the point. We are tied up. It is 2-2. We will end up in our final speed round. I will give my thoughts, my opinions on that real quick. Yeah, the borderline Eddie Murphy just trying to pull off the African dialect or the African accent, and it goes into a level where it might be on the verge. Just racist was a really good point. And then he did also, Malcolm, you also did point out the fact that just because he's in multiple roles does not necessarily make it a good movie. You know, you chose probably the better of the two, but I was thinking The Clumps as well. But Norbit, hashtag Norbit still exists. That right there was by far probably what ended that round. That was great. Good on you. And the final question, the creme de la creme. The final speed round question is, who was the best Spider-Man?
Tom Holland.
Tobey Maguire.
Tom Holland and Tobey Maguire. Okay. We have a fight on our hands, gentlemen.
Who starts first?
Malcolm said Tom Holland first. Malcolm will start.
Well, the thing is with Spider-Man, you want someone who can pull off a good Peter Parker as well. With Tobey Maguire, he was a good Peter Parker. His Spider-Man wasn't quippy enough. It wasn't what I remember from the comics. Tom Holland was the perfect blend. He was a perfect Peter Parker. It was even better Spider-Man. Like the quips he would come up with all through Civil War. It was just perfect.
Time.
Very nice way to keep it right in time. Subrath.
Difference with Tom Holland and Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire had to. Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker did everything by himself. He didn't need Iron Man. He didn't need the help of other figures like Nick Fury. I mean, he did everything all by himself. That's a very basic point of all superhero movies. You should do things yourself. Then that's why you're the superhero. Otherwise, Tom Holland is just a sidekick character to Iron Man and many Avengers. This is why I would prefer Tobey Maguire over Tom Holland's portrayal.
Time.
All right, Malcolm.
Wow.
That's a good round. Malcolm, your rebuttal starts whenever you start speaking, bud.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, yes, he did everything by himself, but that's because Sony didn't have the rights to any of the other Marvel characters. But the thing is, doing the thing by yourself does not mean you're a better Spider-Man. It just means that's the way that the movie was written. But
time.
Damn it.
The fact they were able, I'll just start now. The fact that they were able to pull off 3 movies of Spider-Man all by himself, doing everything all by himself without the help of all the Avengers, says something about Tobey Maguire's portrayal as Peter Parker / Spider-Man. He was able to conquer every villain that was there.
Time.
You guys, what you say about Spider-Man 3? Okay.
All right. We will take into consideration everything that has just been stated. And we will start with Ryan. Ryan, I want to hear your thoughts on this.
Oh boy, the web slinger that's been around for ages and ages and ages, boys. All right, so both competitors, you put your best foot forward on this one, but what Subrath said, it rings true. In the originals, did it by himself with Homecoming. You need a little bit of assistance from the Tony Boy with his iron little suit and Happy Hogan. So with Spider-Man, it's you know, well, what Subrath said with standalone adventures, I dig that. I respect him for saying that. So I'm going to give the point to Subrath on this one.
Dan.
All right, so what I got here is from Tom Holland's a better Peter Parker. Toby Maguire, not a good Spider-Man. No rights. That's why they couldn't do what they did in the original Spider-Man trilogy, and the films weren't written as good. But from Subrath, I got no help equals a better superhero. Tom, basically a sidekick to Iron Man. We got 3 movies from Tobey Maguire where we only got 1. I know we got a second one, and we got Avengers, Captain America Civil War. We got a couple of those, but he wasn't the main character in those. And he was better against the villains because he got to do it by himself. I really believe that Subrath came out with more points to establish why Tobey Maguire is better, and he had in 3 movies, and he was better against the villains and so forth. So, and that's why I'm going to give the point here to Subrath instead of Malcolm.
I liked the fact that Malcolm countered with the fact that they didn't have the rights, and that's the reason why Tom Holland got to play with Spider-Man, and he got to play with Iron Man, and he got to play with Happy Hogan. My point actually would have probably gone just based off of that argument itself to Malcolm. I have been shouted down. We do have a winner, and it was taken down to the wire, the very last question, and it is Subrath, the Raid, Sharma. This was an amazing match. I'm gonna take it around the globe real quick to see how everybody feels about it. Let's start with our winner today, Subrath. How you feeling?
My God, we just had I just had a conversation with Malcolm regarding the new Spider-Man trailer. So this is the final question was really something that what goes around comes back around. So yeah, I know Malcolm did so well against me. I mean, I have so much, very few time I have to talk here. So let's just go back to Malcolm.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for that, Subrath. Malcolm, how you feeling today, man? You took it all the way to the final question. You almost had it, bud. How are you feeling?
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I'm bummed. I mean, there's a couple of times I thought I probably should have gotten the point over Subrath, but I mean, I'm not going to split hairs. But I mean, that's why there's 3 judges. Everybody thinks different. So, I mean, it was a fun match. I'm probably going to keep coming back. And yeah,
I definitely want to see you keep coming back. This was fun. Dan, Skip Island, how you feeling about today's match?
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, I give these guys a lot of credit. These weren't easy arguments to make and choices to make. They chose what they felt were some of the better choices. I feel like, in a couple of the questions, if Malcolm had chosen a different movie or whatever, he may have come out on top in this match. I think he didn't necessarily choose the right choices in some of his picks. I think that was evident in the points that were given because he wasn't able to make the right arguments for the movies he did choose, and that's why I think Subrath edged him.
Fair enough. Let's shoot over to Ryan. Ryan, how you feeling about everything that was said today? About the winner, about the loser?
Yes, sir. This match was something else. Malcolm and Subrath. I was very surprised by some of the choices they picked for certain questions in certain rounds. But other than that, some good arguments. The speed round really proves that anything can happen. The tide can quickly turn faster than you can blink an eye, my friend. So this was good stuff. Malcolm, definitely keep coming back. Don't let this stop you. Don't let it deter you from debating, because you're a good competitor. You got a lot of good things ahead for you. And Subrath, I mean, we hardly ever see you. You're like the ghost who walks. You're like the Phantom of Billy Zane, the forgotten movie. But you came to play. You did your thing. Congrats. And this was a good match. And some of these questions, boy, oh boy, are they tough. And some of them are got to be quick on your feet, son. But it's good stuff. I like it. This was fun. I hope to come back to one of these matches real soon. And congrats to Subrath. And good job, judges.
I just want to point out to Malcolm, like, why didn't you pick Andrew Garfield? It would be a fun argument to make, to be honest. I couldn't use the Spider-Man did it all by himself thing. You could just pick Andrew Garfield, or just forget about it.
I don't like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man.
Same, I don't like it.
I think we're all in agreement there.
Gee willikers, you can talk more about that in the locker room.
Let's not argue anymore.
All right. I had a blast. Sorry it got off to such a rocky start. Sorry it had such a rocky middle, and sorry it had such a rocky ending. But the only thing you can do is learn from your mistakes, and we will continue to go from there. I had a blast judging with these guys. I had a blast listening to these arguments. Some of the arguments that were made just kind of blew my mind. Oh, this was fun. Do we want to go right around again and tell everybody where we can find everybody, or do we just want to say bye-bye? An agreement. Subrath, our winner, where can everybody find you, bud?
Well, you could find me here, Movie Battleground, running things, putting up matchups against people you don't like, so you can argue against them.
Hey, you got the win. We can't call it a fix now, right?
It's my first ever victory. Come on, let me enjoy it. It's been a long time coming, to be honest.
All right. Malcolm, where can the good people find you, bud?
You can find me on Tape 3 Productions. I host Rankum every Sunday night. You can also find me competing all over the spectrum of Full Metal, Multiplex, Battleground. Everywhere you can find trivia or debating, like I'm all over there. You can also find me on Twitter, Letterboxd, and Stardust at Melkor.
Awesome. Ryan, where can the good people find you?
Yes, sir. You can find me on Facebook at Ryan Permerson. That's RyanPermason. Find me on Twitter and Instagram at RyanRPM5. And also make sure you check out our YouTube channel known as Nerd Culture. You can find us on YouTube at Nerd Culture. We got brand new videos out now. We got brand new ones coming your way very, very soon. And make sure you're following us on Twitter and Instagram at It's Nerd Culture. And you also can find me competing in the various fan movie trivia leagues. And who knows, maybe I'll be a judge another time on Movie Battleground. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. And I'll see you next time.
Dan Skip Allen, where can the wonderful people of the interwebs find you?
You can always find me at Dan Skip Allen on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest, or at From the Fourth Row at WordPress.com, where I write about movies, or for the website that I work for called CineSportsTalk.com. That's CineSportsTalk.com, where I write about sports and movies, and all over trivia and Multiplex and Full Metal as well, and hopefully I'll be back here in Movie Battleground.
Awesome. And the people already know where to find me. For the rest of you less than reputable individuals, the rapscallions, the scallywags, the blackguards, you can find me on Facebook at Jay Burns. You can find me on Twitter at JBurns253. You can find me on Instagram at bargang_Burns, and you can find me on Letterboxd at JBR253.